I'm Kristen Oaks White. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. While Louisiana farmers and ranchers continue to find damage from Hurricane Laura, the wounds to agriculture are a bit fresher for our neighbors to the east. Hurricane Sally made landfall on September 16th in Gulf Shores, Alabama as a Category 2 storm. Twila's Avery Davidson shows us what this storm did to cotton and pecans ready to pick.
Blown down by Hurricane Sally's winds and rain, the cotton fields of Baldwin County, Alabama, most likely will not be white and fluffy as in years past. The green soybean fields also succumbed to Sally's wrath. Baldwin County farmer Joel Sermon says Sally damaged nearly every crop grown here.
We're 2/3 through digging sweet potatoes, so as soon as it dries out, we'll be back in there. Cotton, we just have to wait. It's going to be another 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks before we know anything on that.
I'm most concerned, I guess, about the crop. Cotton, like this we're standing here in front of, looks pretty bad. Also, the pecan crop's pretty bad. A lot of the pecans blew off of the trees, and a number of trees have blown down as well. So it'll have a lasting effect on the pecan crop. One of the farmers told us a couple years before they could possibly have a good pecan crop again.
Alabama Farmers Federation President Jimmy Parnell agrees with Sermon that this damage to the pecan crop came at the worst possible time.
It uprooted a lot of trees, broke limbs out, and all the pecans that was on the trees, they on the ground now. And they were 2 weeks, 3 weeks from being harvested. Most
of the state had as good a crop as we've ever had that we're about to harvest. So these folks have lost a good crop. At the minimum, a good crop, and maybe a great crop, depending on the farm and the time they had gotten it planted and when they got rain and that type thing. So it's pretty bad. It's devastating, really, when you lose those big crops.
Just as Louisiana farmers and ranchers are rebuilding and fixing damaged equipment from Hurricane Laura, Alabama farmers will be doing the same following Sally for quite a while. With the help of Kevin Worthington and the Alabama Farmers Federation, I'm Avery Davidson for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
The Alabama Farmers Federation set up a hurricane relief fund to help those farmers and ranchers impacted by Hurricane Sally. You can mail a check payable to Alabama Farmers Agriculture Foundation to Alabama's Farmers Federation, P.O. Box 11000, Montgomery, Alabama, zip code 36191. You can also donate online. Also, remember that Louisiana farmers and ranchers are also still recovering from Hurricane Laura. The Louisiana Farm Bureau Foundation Disaster Relief Fund is also accepting donations. We'll also have a link to make a donation there on our website at twilatv.org. Well, cleanup from Hurricane Laura is well underway, and linemen have restored power to many parts of heavily damaged southwest Louisiana. The damage is still being calculated, and it will be years of recovery for some people. For farmers in Louisiana, it's just one disaster among many, and they need some help if we're going to keep our nation's food supply strong. This week, Twila's Neil Malassaw takes a look at efforts to help agriculture stay on its feet.
Between wildfires, pandemics, derechos, and hurricanes, 2020 is quickly turning into a new curse word. There's a glimmer of hope this week, though, with sign-up opening up for the second Coronavirus Food Assistance Program, or CFAP-2. The plan expands help to farmers affected by the shutdowns and disruptions from COVID-19, according to Louisiana Farm Bureau National Affairs Director Andy Brown.
It's a lot to break down. There's 3 categories of payments. Some are based on issues with sales, others are issues with market interruptions, and then others are just a flat rate for costs that are difficult to discover, but certainly we know that all of agriculture has faced challenges from this pandemic.
One big addition in this new CFAP is rice and sugar, which will both be included along with other grains and livestock.
One that we're still very proud of that did make it again in CFAP 2.0 with all the work that Louisiana Farm Bureau and LSU put forward is crawfish. That has changed quite drastically from CFAP 1 to CFAP 2, where it'll be based on revenue in this round of assistance rather than sales and production that was CFAP 1. So for crawfish, it's a percentage of your 2019 revenue. The easiest way to explain that is it's about 10 cents on the dollar. So, you'll take your 2019 revenue and take about 10% of that for your CFAP 2 payment.
CFAP 2 is assistance for coronavirus specifically. The other 2020 disasters haven't been addressed yet, and getting help there is a literal act of Congress, Brown says.
So we don't have a disaster package funded for 2020. We had a WIP Plus program that covered disasters for 2018 and 2019, but that's over and done with. So it's going to take congressional action to open up some new funding to fund programs like WIP Plus, the Wildfire Hurricane Indemnity Program.
Of course, it's an election year, and that's adding uncertainty to whether or not this will get passed. Brown says the most important thing is to secure our nation's food supply and the farmers who ensure it.
This is not a handout. This is not something that's a luxury. This is a need. And like many businesses are facing, there's a lot of need when it comes to this pandemic. So while farmers have continued to farm, or hashtag still farming as we like to use around here, without assistance like this, some folks would not still be farming.
Reporting for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Neil Malasan.
Sign up for CFAP 2 will stay open until December 11th. For more information on the program, head over to our website at twilatv.org. Judia Dugas and her family live on a 6th-generation farm in Clinton, Louisiana. One of their signature items is hibiscus, but not the hibiscus grown in your home planter. This hibiscus produces a bulb that is used to make teas and jellies and is a Red Stick Farmers Market favorite. The flower buds are ready to harvest in late summer and early fall, and Twila's Jennifer Finley was there for the first pick of the season.
We are going to pick some hibiscus.
Today we're on Lena's Farms. It's actually home for us. We just happen to farm. This land my grandfather owned, and before him his aunt owned. And so today we're just going to show you guys the farm.
Today we're going to clip the little fruit of the hibiscus off. It almost looks like a strawberry. And once we clip those off, we would go and clean them out. But this is my first picking for the season too, you guys. And that is what it looks like. So my dad, he was the milestone of it all.
My grandfather really grew corn and sugarcane, but he didn't really sell it. He just grew it because he loved it, or he grew the corn for the farm animals, right? And so I have vivid memories of us at the end of the year chopping the sugarcane down, taking it to the mill, making syrup. But he just made it for us. And so we just enjoyed these cans of syrup throughout the year.
He planted so we can all have food and to keep the children busy, because that's how you made your little summer, it wasn't summer money, but it was money for your school clothes or for your school supplies. It gave me a passion for the land and the respect for what it produces. These are nice. This is the Roselle hibiscus. And when you say hibiscus, some people say, oh, I got that in my yard. I say, no, it's the Roselle hibiscus, which is a plant, and it's cousins to the okra. It has a bright yellow bloom. See the bloom, almost just like an okra.
My sister did ag at Southern, and they had a symposium about hibiscus, and they were giving away some of the seed, and we got some of it and we tried it, and it's just been evolving from there. It's a novelty almost. People see these big red jars on the table, and what is that, moonshine or wine? And then we began to tell the story of hibiscus and the medicinal properties of it and how good it is and how it tastes. A lot of people don't know a lot about it here in this area. And it's just fun, right? You see these green and red plants and all of the products that we can make from it, and it's just so good for you. And so a lot of our customers, they swear by it. It's done a lot of good for a lot of people.
Going to Breda Red Stick Market, it challenged you also too, to where it keeps you doing more. Because if a customer asks you, can you do it spicy? I said, how spicy do you want it? He said, what I taste was like a 1. Can you make it a 10? I said, oh yeah, okay. So next Saturday I went out, I had him a 10. And he did a thumbs up on his picture. So it's stuff like that that makes your heart merry.
Our objective between now and first frost is to harvest as much as we possibly can. But after we harvest it, we have to do 3 things with it. We either have to consume it then with the products that we're creating then, or we dehydrate it for the whole leaf product, or we freeze it. And so I'll go ahead and get these fresh pods in, and then we'll get some frozen going here as well. It's much easier to release all of the color and flavor from the frozen hibiscus. Now that we have them in a rolling boil, I just like to stir it a little bit to start releasing all of the flavor and the color. Hibiscus, spring water, that's it. And that's the color that you're looking for. We have a lot of people ask, well, how long should I steep it? And my answer is always, well, it's not really a time, it's a color. Both the fresh and the frozen, this is the same result. One's just a little bit easier, and it all depends on what part of the year we're in, if we use either or.
My mom is amazing. Without her, there is no farm. My mom is actually Lena Farms.
Very proud of my son and my family, because from the husband to the kids to the grandkids, everybody pitch in and help. So I'm really proud of all of them.
What a way to increase the legacy of what my grandfather started with purchasing this property and loving it. My grandfather, who was born in the 1900s, was only allowed to get a 6th grade education, but he took what he was allowed and he multiplied it. And beyond that, he left seeds, right? And so he multiplied what he could, and then he left something back for us to multiply. And that's what we're trying to do with what we have here on the farm.
If you would like to connect with Lena Farms, you can find them on Thursdays and Saturdays at Bretta's Red Stick Farmers Market, or you can head over to our website at twilatv.org. Coming up on Twila, we head down to get some fresh tuna from the Gulf of Mexico. A brand new Field to Feast is up next.
I now hope they're fighting today.
I hope they are. Put a Dorito on here.
I got a fish! I got a fish!
Find your place in the country and the lender who can get you there. Find Louisiana Land Bank. Financing for country homes, recreational property, farms and ranches, and agribusiness. It's a well-known fact that here in Louisiana, sugarcane is more than just a crop. It's a way of life. It creates more than 16,000 jobs across the state and an additional $3 billion boost to our state's economy. And Louisiana's cane families always give back to the communities where we live, work, and play. Louisiana sugarcane, making life sweeter, naturally.
Sugarcane, sweet sugarcane.
I'm a farmer.
I am a farm wife.
I am a cowboy.
I am a grass farmer.
I'm a businesswoman.
I'm a conservationist.
I am an advocate.
I am a voice for Louisiana farmers.
I'm always learning.
I'm a husband.
I'm a mom.
I am a dad.
I'm a granddad.
I am a consumer.
I grow the food that feeds your family, and I'm proud of it. I am Farm Bureau.
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 We are Farm Bureau.
Welcome to Field to Feast, where we profile Louisiana and its local ingredients. Today, Tori and I are about to talk tuna.
Field to Feast with Jennifer Finley is brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board. Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat. And by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Beef, it's what's for dinner. And by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board. Think rice.
I actually, on the way here, I Googled a tuna joke. Knock, knock.
Who's that?
Tuna.
Tuna who?
You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. Tori and I are at Jensen Tuna today, and we're going to learn all about grading tuna. What do you know about where we're heading in?
Well, Danny and David, they're fantastic gentlemen, and I'll tell you, we get primarily all of our tuna right from the docks here in South Louisiana. So these guys know more about tuna and how they grade them and how to pick out the specific things that, as a chef, that I need to run a great restaurant like Commander's Palace. So I'm thrilled to be able to walk in, say hello to the friends, and get more information.
Oh my goodness, this is so exciting! So all of this is fresh Gulf tuna.
Yes, it is. All landed right here in the Gulf of Mexico. It's all, like I said, yellowfin tuna. And what you're looking at probably ranges in size. This comes in, when we get it from the boats, it's all headed and gutted. All of these range probably, I would say, 75 to maybe 90 pounds.
This is yellowfin tuna that we have in today. And we're grading the fish based on freshness, color, the clarity of the meat, the firmness of the texture, and things like that. And we're classifying the fish as a number 1 or number 2 plus, or number 2 or number 3. All right, so he's looking at the tail cut, and he's looking at a couple of factors in here. One, the bloodline, okay? So we want a red bloodline like that. If the bloodline's dark or brown, we know that fish doesn't have much of a leg on it, okay? That fish is a little bit dark in the middle, but it's a very good fish because of the texture it's got, and look at the body. This fish here, when he cores it, it's gonna bloom up.
Yep.
See, this type of fish he can deal with, okay?
You can make this amazing.
He can do amazing things with it.
I think the fascinating thing for me as a professional chef doing what we do is the trust and respect that we have in guys like my friend David to understand, hey, look, this is what we want and this is what we're going to get. Because these fish are not inexpensive, but I know if I put my trust in him and say, look, I've got hundreds of people coming in for dinner tonight. I need this one particular cut. I know it's going to be the freshest one possible.
This fish right here came up live. Okay, you see his the meat coming out right here on the head?
Yes.
If this is flat, all the way sucked in, it's a dead fish.
Okay.
That's how we can tell whether we got a dead fish or a live fish. Most of your number 1s, I would say 85% of them are going to be live fish.
Yeah. Your quality control is amazing.
Yeah, I got in this industry when these fish were worth 50 cents.
Okay. How much are they worth now?
A lot. Yeah. I mean, it's the price structure in these fish is 80% higher than it was 30 plus years ago. Demand. Creative markets. People like Chef that created a market for the fish. And
flavor,
therefore,
taste, I mean, is that
oh yeah, I mean, it's the health benefits of eating this is off the charts. Yep. And you know, I mean, you can't get any more healthier than eating tuna fish. You know, tuna fish and salmon, really. You know, and it's 2 of the most beneficial, healthy fish you can eat, especially yellowfin tuna.
Well, I mean, this is such a super precise industry.
Yeah.
Very exciting to know that it's so local, so Louisiana, fresh ingredients. Yeah. And we're going to take some of this tuna back to Tori's house where he's going to make something for us. What are you going to make today?
Well, let's do some kind of seared tuna, but let's do something with some like wasabi caviar on top of it, a couple of sauces, and let's just have fun with it, you know?
Yeah. That sounds great.
How can you not have fun with a product this local and this delicious?
Landowners are minding the Louisiana forest for our grandchildren. A place for wildlife, recreation, lumber for homes. It's the right thing to do. Forestry, covering half our state, all of our hearts.
Louisiana oysters, salty, sweet, and delicious. But have you ever thought about what happens to all those oyster shells? Most of them end up in trash cans and landfills. The Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana is changing this with its oyster shell recycling program. And you can help by visiting these participating restaurants. It's a simple and delicious way to restore our coast. The shells will then be used to sustain and rebuild oyster reefs. Remember, once you shuck them, don't just chuck them.
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Jason, let's go see your room.
No, that's not right. How was it? Is it good?
We are back in the kitchen with Chef Tori McPhail from Commander's Palace, and today we're going to be making some tuna. So what are we going to be doing, Chef?
So we've got a tuna dish. We've never done this before, right? But I love Louisiana food, but I also love Mexican food.
I
So
do
we're going to take Louisiana ingredients with Louisiana flavors. We're going to travel to Mexico and enjoy ourselves and do something that we've never done. So we're going to cut this in half. It might be counterintuitive. We're actually going to cut it this way.
Okay.
So the piece is smaller. So on the plate, you don't want this big floppy thing in the middle of the plate. You want it to be nice, looking good. Slice it like it would be in a nice sushi restaurant. So instead of just Creole seasoning, we're actually going to use taco spice.
Oh!
So let's set this to the side.
Okay.
And then we're going to have some fun.
Okay.
Woo. Do all up in here.
Okay. Up in here, up in here. Oh, wait, that's a song, isn't it? Okay.
Beautiful. So we want to take the seeds out. So typical chili rellenos, you just want to open it up and you have one slit to the top of it. Because we're not going to fry ours, it's going to be healthy, we're just going to take ours, we're going to cut it just right in half. We're going to take these, we're going to season these with just a little bit of salt.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just going to cut this into quarters like this.
Okay.
And it's okay if some of the dark, the charred top is on. I'm just going to take our knife, we're just going to gently open it up. And so you get what's called a tomato lapel. Just a barely little bit of olive oil, garlic goes in. Okay, so the green onion bottoms are gonna go in.
Okay.
We're gonna add a little bit of shallots just so we have some better foundation of flavor that goes into our pan.
That zero waste thing.
Zero
which
waste.
is so awesome.
And then instead of green bell peppers, now we're gonna add our jalapenos, okay? So we're just gonna give this a little shake. Perfect. We're gonna put it in here. And once we're gonna add all of our rice, you're not gonna see the little tiny tomato seeds anyway.
Okay.
And this is all going to stew down, so you can't really see the chop anyhow. So this is only going to take a minute. You can add a little bit of salt.
Okay.
We're just going to add some rice first. Just like pull some out of there.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that looks like it's pretty well incorporated, wouldn't you say?
I think it looks delicious already. It looks like a Mexican dish. So time to taste. Taste as you go. Because you can always add your flavors.
That's really good. Pan is nice and hot. And the important thing here is we're just going to take that vegetable oil, or the olive oil in this case, we're just going to shake it around the pan.
Yes.
And if you want to use your tongs, gently set the tuna in. Just make sure not to splash anything. But the pan is ripping hot right now.
Okay, because we're going to sear it on all sides, but we do not want to overcook this.
That's the important thing.
So what's the heat?
Hot. So the thing that makes this searing tuna a little different than searing a steak is we've always been taught when we're searing a steak, you want to pull the steak out maybe 40 minutes ahead of time, keep it in saran wrap to keep it clean. But you want to temper the steak. Let the steak kind of come up to room temperature. The opposite with tuna. Okay, so we're gonna, perfect. So we're gonna sear our tuna, but you want to make sure it's ice cold. So the idea with this, we'll turn off this flame. The idea here is when the tuna's ice cold, we have a larger window of opportunity to sear it. So at this point, we're gonna add some cilantro sauce to the top.
Yes. Now, this is another one of your fantastic cilantro, lime, sea salt sauces.
Pour that on top of our tuna.
Okay. Oh my goodness, look at this. Oh.
And we're just gonna kind of work it around, and so the marination kind of starts at this point.
Okay.
We're gonna take our gorgeous tuna, gently saw back and forth, and what you're left with is gorgeous pieces of tuna.
Oh my goodness.
Looks great. I mean, that could not be more spectacular.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so where's the bubbly? Here's the dish.
Check it out.
To good food, great friends, and Louisiana ingredients.
Indeed. Cheers to that.
Might be my favorite dish we've ever made together.
Beautiful. Truly.
Thank
you for
you.
coming.
Cheers, friend.
All right, cheers.
Field to Feast with Jennifer Finley was brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, beef, it's what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice.
In the ag community, we have seen it before. A disaster or tragedy happens on the farm and all operations shut down. But during harvest, time is of the essence. Farmers must cut their crops at just the right time to capitalize on the highest potential yield and return on their investment. So what happens when your operations are down due to an accident? In farm communities, your neighbors step up and lend a helping hand. And that's exactly what happened to one farmer in North Dakota. Kudos to all those farmers who lent a hand for their neighbor in need. Now that's the kind of story we could all see more of right now. That does it for this edition of Twila. Next week we'll follow up on the effects that the latest tropical weather is having on Louisiana's cotton crop. Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org and be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find all of these stories and more on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to us and turn on the notifications so you know exactly when we put new content out. For all of us here at Twila, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.